Let's look at this sort of thing that the president did. He says, well, that was part of what he promised. Honorable Osage, he published some part of his assets declaration form. Well, now there are many who think that the senators, well, first of all, the governors now, and his party should be encouraged to follow the example that the president has laid. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree with that, because we're talking about building institutions. Institutions are manned by people. And if people can be honest enough to let the world know what they have before they assume office, and then what they have after they assume office, it will serve as checks on the tendencies of people who are in public offices to want to...
is it not a constitutional matter?
To want to help themselves. But it is important for us to know that this is the president who has demonstrated leadership. His predecessor was once quoted as saying that he does not give a damn about even declaring absence. And I think President Buhari deserves a lot of commendation. But I continue to wonder why he's still getting some knocks over the declaration that he made. Some people said he declared part of it and that he wasn't forced to do it. He made a promise and he has come up with it. So if there are those who know what else he has that he has not declared, I mean, this is our country. It's a democracy. So rather than him getting kudos for taking that bold step against a regime that the leadership has said that they don't give a damn about, it should be praised. And I believe that other public officers should follow suit. Although there is no law which demands that public officers should declare their assets, but the president has demonstrated that there is a moral conscience, that needs to be satisfied on the part of the Nigerian people, given the history of our country that has been riddled with corrupt practices. Our leaders should try as much as possible to enable the constituents and the people have more confidence in their leadership. And I think I agree that chief executives of states and all public office holders should endeavor to follow the president's footsteps.
I'm surprised to hear that there is no law that says they should declare their assets. Then what is the purpose of code of conduct?
There is no law to declare assets. There is no law which says that you must publicly declare your asset by publishing it.
Okay.
The Code of Conduct Act makes it clear that all public officers must declare their asset upon assumption of office and at the end of their tenure.
Okay, thank you. Because of what Mr. President has done, I could hear a senator follow suit. Yes. And said he has 22 million, 2 wives, and some houses. That is to tell you how ridiculous they have taken us at taking wives as assets, declaring wives as assets. Isn't that ridiculous in this country? That is to tell you, even if they don't make it public, those are part of what they will be keeping in the files and documents.
Just a moment. I think that the senator will get knocks for that, but some people are also committing.
We have to let you.
Just a moment. He's getting knocks for that, and he's been told that women are not assets, wives are not assets. But that's on the one corner. The idea that he would follow publicly what he believes the leader of his party or one of the leaders of his party, let's leave it to the APC to determine who the leader of their party is, has done is what is being promoted here. And one would think that, people who seek transparency should follow suit. He had a very strong statement in that regard, the man who's being criticized now about, publishing his wives also as assets. Perhaps there's some mistake.
It shows a powerful, transparent...
But he did have a very strong statement about, every public leader being guilty unless they themselves can say, I am innocent. You're pronounced guilty until you yourself say, defend yourself as being innocent by being able to publicly declare your assets. Is this something you recommend for public leaders?
It is a sign of transparent personality. You have nothing you are hiding.
Why do you think that leaders then generally are, reluctant to do that?
Because they know they want to manipulate things. They don't want you to know what once you have 1, 2 houses and a couple of millions before you get there, and you are going there to loot. So you won't allow anybody to know what you had before you go, because you won't be able to account for it when it gets to the end, when you get to the end of your term.
You're once a member of the House of Representatives.
That's right.
Did you publicly declare your assets?
I did. I even said it on television. The code of conduct form, I showed mine. I was in AD that time. I showed my form, photocopy of my form. I showed it on television. AIT precisely. This is just, we were always showing example to our people.
Because the idea was supposed to be that, you know, you show it before, and then when you're done, you show it. What you still have.
Yes. That was to tell you, I showed it. Therefore, people should expect the level I will be when I leave the place. Not to say where I had 2 houses when I got there. After leaving the National Assembly, I have 50 houses. How much is my salary? What about the allowances? How much is it that will make you have such if something funny is not happening? So these are part of what they are hiding. These are part of what they don't want public to know. And we have to encourage them. Even if it is not in the Constitution to publish it, it is to show that you are above board.
All right, wait. Let's wind down. Honorable Sage, well, much as you said, it's something that you think public officials should do in order to just ensure that they also display that transparency, although no law says that you have to publish your assets declaration. But do you see them really doing it? Take, for instance, senators or members of the House of Reps, which you were not long ago?
Well, I think the way to go on this matter is legislative activism, by ensuring that the law establishing the code of conduct empowers them to publish them publicly, in which case you will not need the individual public officer to do it by themselves, because that would be a huge moral burden. But however, I believe that what the president has done is encouraging, and it should be followed suit in our quest to have our country manned by people who are transparently honest, accountable to the people, and believe that we must do things for the benefit of the generality of the people. So my solution to this call for public declaration of assets is for the legislature to come up with an amendment to the law establishing the code of conduct, so that when they receive the forms of public officers, they can be empowered by the law to go public by declaring it. But let me quickly make this clear, that what Senator Shehu Sani did was not to say his wives are his asset. I need to correct that impression. If you have ever filled a code of conduct form, there's a column where you are asked to state the name of your spouse and the property attached to her. If your spouse is not a public officer that is also entitled to declare her assets or his assets, then you have to declare it in your own form as the husband or as the wife. So it wasn't like, oh, Sani declared his wife as asset. It is the requirement of the law of the form which says that your spouse ought to have been your spouse.
Just a quick one before you go. We're completely out of time on this one. I've got people commenting saying that the decision by the president directing the TSA Treasury single account should have been an executive or Federal Executive Council decision, not a unilateral one. What do you think of that?
The Federal Executive Council is made up of the president and his appointees. The Constitution says that in the performance of the executive functions of Mr. President, he shall carry out such functions through either by himself or through his minister or special advisors. So I believe that if the policy he took is such that will benefit the economy and ensure transparency, I don't think that must be a decision by the Federal Executive Council.
Okay,
because
thank you very much.
The functions of the executive are first and foremost inherent in his office as president of the country. So by the time he constitutes his cabinet, they can take other decisions. But there is no law which says that the Federal Executive Council must take decision A or decision B. The president performs presidential executive functions either by himself or with ministers or special advisors.
Okay. Thank you very much. I even agree. I like his submission in the area of saying there should be an amendment in the code of conduct or something. These are part of what we expect when you say you want to fight corruption within the first 100 days. These are part of what you could have submitted to the National Assembly to get done for us. We don't have to sit down here and be looking at what America has done before we know it is right. Let them copy Nigeria. We are unique people in this part of the world. Therefore, if we put it in our own constitution, if we put it in our own law that, hey, everybody must, what you declare, make it public. This is why the Yoruba people make this proverb that if you are grinding groundnut for a blind, you have to be whistling so that he knows that you are not eating it. You have to be whistling.
That's it. Thank you very much indeed. Well, that's Honorable Moshood Salvador, member of the PDP, and Honorable Samson Osage, former minority whip, a member of APC, who joined us from our studio in Benin. Thank you both, gentlemen, for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chapale.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Please stay with us.